Ever wonder why we accept things that don't serve us any good? Today we're exploring selective discrimination, its necessity, and why it's not always a negative concept. Indiscriminate acceptance can, in fact, pave the way to problems. So let's delve deeper into this intriguing conundrum. Indiscriminate acceptance sounds idealistic, doesn't it? But is it really? Let's take a moment to unpack this concept. Indiscriminate acceptance, in essence, is the notion that we should accept everything and everyone without question or judgment. On the surface, it seems like a utopian ideal. A world where everyone is accepted, where no one is judged or excluded. But let's dig a little deeper. You see, while this concept may seem appealing, it's not without its pitfalls. One of the most significant issues with indiscriminate acceptance is that it can foster complacency. When we accept everything without question, we lose our ability to critically evaluate our surroundings. We stop challenging ideas, we stop seeking improvements, and ultimately we stop growing. Furthermore, indiscriminate acceptance can promote harmful behavior. When we accept everything as it is, we risk normalizing and even encouraging behavior that's detrimental to our society. We're talking about things like prejudice, intolerance, and even violence. When we don't draw a line in the sand, we create a world where anything goes, and that's a dangerous place to be. Lastly, let's talk about values. Each of us holds a unique set of values that guide our actions and decisions. These values are shaped by our experiences, our beliefs, and our understanding of the world. Indiscriminate acceptance can erode these values. When we're asked to accept everything, we're essentially being asked to ignore our values, to put aside our moral compass. And that can lead to a society that's devoid of principles, a society that's lost its way. So you see, indiscriminate acceptance isn't as beneficial as it seems. While it may promise a world free of judgment and exclusion, it also paves the way for complacency, harmful behavior, and the erosion of values. It's a double-edged sword, one that we need to handle with care. Now, let's talk about selective discrimination. A controversial term, but is it really as bad as it sounds? Selective discrimination, contrary to what the term might suggest, is not about prejudice or bias towards a certain group of people. Instead, it's about making conscious decisions, about choosing wisely what to accept and what to reject in our daily lives. It's about maintaining standards and promoting growth, both personally and within our communities. Imagine, if you will, a world where we accept everything and everyone without question. Sounds ideal, right? But this utopia quickly crumbles when we realize that not everything or everyone aligns with our values, contributes to our growth, or nourishes our well-being. This is where the concept of selective discrimination comes in. Selective discrimination is essentially critical thinking in action. It involves carefully analyzing information, ideas, and influences, and then making an informed decision about their worth. It's not about shunning or alienating, but about recognizing what is beneficial and what is detrimental. Consider it in the context of the food we eat. We discriminate between healthy and unhealthy food, choosing to consume what nourishes our body and rejecting what harms it. This is selective discrimination. We are not vilifying junk food or those who consume it. We are merely choosing what's best for our health. Now let's extend this concept to our cultural and social interactions. Here, selective discrimination becomes a tool to uphold standards. It helps us identify and reject harmful behaviors, toxic relationships, and misleading narratives, while embracing positive influences, nurturing relationships, and empowering narratives. Selective discrimination is not about creating divides, but about fostering growth. It encourages us to strive for better, to continually reassess and raise our standards. It's about not settling for mediocrity, but aiming for excellence. And it's about not accepting everything at face value, but questioning, analyzing, and understanding. Selective discrimination, then, is not a villain, but a tool for growth and progress. We often live in a bubble of delusions, but is it time to burst that bubble? Imagine, if you will, a society where we openly acknowledge the fallacies within our perceptions. A society where we are unafraid to confront the delusions we've been holding on to. Sounds liberating, doesn't it? It's high time we take a step towards that reality. Take, for instance, the illusion of the Black community in America. We often hear about it, but is it really there? Or is it a construct we've created to make sense of the complexities of our society? In truth, what we refer to as the Black community is not a monolith. It's a diverse, intricate tapestry of individuals, each with their own experiences and perspectives. To lump them all together under one umbrella is not just oversimplification, it's a disservice. This delusion, like many others, needs to be confronted. It's time to be real with ourselves and society. We can't continue to accept every narrative that's handed to us without questioning its validity. It's not about being cynical, but about seeking the truth. We owe it to ourselves and to those around us to challenge these misconceptions. We must also be wary of accepting foolishness. It's not a good look, and it certainly doesn't do any favors for our understanding of the world. By blindly accepting everything, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment and misunderstanding. Instead, we should strive to discern, to question, and to understand. The need to confront these delusions goes beyond societal norms and cultural constructs. It applies to our personal lives, our relationships, our work. It's about being authentic, about being true to ourselves and the world around us. It's about breaking free from the shackles of illusions and stepping into the light of reality. It's time we stop living in illusions and start confronting the harsh realities. It's not a simple task, nor is it a comfortable one. But it's a necessary step if we want to foster a society that's grounded in truth and understanding. After all, the world is not made of sugar-coated fantasies. It's made of real people, real experiences, and real challenges. And it's high time we start acknowledging that. Change can be daunting, but it's necessary. So where do we start? The journey to change begins with understanding the necessity of selective discrimination. This is not an endorsement of unfair treatment or bias, but rather an encouragement to make considered, discerning choices. It's about recognizing that not everything presented to us is worth accepting, and that we must be selective to protect our well-being and that of our society. Let's look back at the points we've covered. We've discussed the illusion of universal acceptance and how it can lead us astray. It's a beautiful concept in theory, but it's unrealistic and potentially harmful in practice. Accepting everything without discrimination can lead us to endorse harmful behaviors, toxic cultures, and false narratives. It's time to break free from this illusion. We've also touched on the importance of breaking delusions. We need to confront the harsh realities of our society and stop endorsing a culture that no longer exists. This is a tough pill to swallow, but it's a necessary one. It's time we stop painting a rosy picture of a community that, in reality, is plagued with issues. So, how do we implement this change? To begin with, we must strive for self-awareness. We need to recognize our biases and confront our delusions. We must be critical of the information we consume and the narratives we endorse. We must also encourage open dialogues and discussions, challenging the status quo and questioning the norm. We must also promote the importance of selective discrimination in our communities. Educating others about the dangers of indiscriminate acceptance and the necessity of discernment is crucial. This isn't about promoting division, but about fostering a culture of thoughtful decision-making and responsible acceptance. Remember, change starts with you. It's time to embrace selective discrimination and let go of harmful, indiscriminate acceptance. Let's be real with ourselves and the world around us. This isn't just about individual change, but societal transformation. It's about creating a culture that values discernment, confronts delusions, and strives for authenticity. It's about creating a better world, one decision at a time. Ever felt pressured to conform to the majority? That's the hive mind and groupthink mentality at work. In a society that often values harmony over conflict, it's easy to fall into the trap of groupthink. This is when we suppress our unique perspectives and ideas in favor of the prevailing opinion, in fear of being ostracized or ridiculed. It's a survival instinct, but it's one that can lead to the loss of individuality and critical thinking. The dangers of succumbing to groupthink are manifold. It can lead to poor decision-making as we blindly follow the crowd without questioning the validity or logic of their actions. It can also lead to the suppression of creativity and innovation, as new and unique ideas are drowned out by the noise of the majority. And perhaps most dangerously, it can lead to the perpetuation of harmful behaviors and ideologies, as we become complicit in their propagation through our silence and compliance. But how do we combat this? How do we maintain our individuality in the face of group pressure? It begins with awareness. Recognize the signs of groupthink and be mindful of its influence. Question the status quo and challenge the norm, even if it means standing alone. Embrace your unique perspective and don't be afraid to voice your thoughts and ideas. And most importantly, value diversity and encourage open dialogue. Remember, it's not about creating conflict, but about fostering a culture of critical thinking and responsible decision-making. It's time to break free from the hive mind and embrace our unique perspectives. Because only then can we truly create a better world, one decision at a time.